It's just pretty cool to meet Stan Lee and to see him over and over again, over these years. We'll miss him. He's very important, obviously, to the franchise and to everyone who's into comic books at all. So it was really cool to have a shot to work with him. Yeah.
See, I was going back to Fantastic Four. I have the first time I met him was in 2004 when I was doing Johnny Storm, and the day that he was on set, we actually happened to have a B-roll crew on set that day for whatever reason, and one of my first interactions with him, it's all caught on B-roll, and I've found the footage, and it's just at the time he was, I was very early in my career. It was the biggest role I'd ever done. To me, someone like him was so overwhelming for me, and he was so, true Stan Lee format, just so full of life and just so kind and gregarious and just made me feel right at home. And
how about you?
Yeah, it was always really special, realizing that he was the guy that had invented all of this and all started with him. And he was just a big kid at heart, vivid sort of imagination and still wide-eyed and like blown away by all of it. And I think he was as impressed and as enthusiastic as we were that it was all happening,
Unbelievable. I mean, I met him years back on the Fantastic Four movies, and he's just always been such a, if he walks in the room, it's like he's glowing. He's got so much energy and so much love, and he's really just was such a special man, So I feel so lucky to even be in any way loosely connected to his legacy, because he made such an impact for so many people in so many ways.
I aspire to be as strong-minded, and the guy has lived an amazing life, and he's still always stick with me because I spent a lot of time with him more recently, and when you're that, you're so full of life, right? And when you spend time with him, you just know this guy is just burning a fire of life. He's got a great sense of humor, a smart mind, and I hope and aspire to be anywhere half of what he was as a man. Right, it's really, really fantastic. I really, really enjoyed my time with him.
Cool. How about you, Chris?
Just his sort of childlike wonder and attitude and enthusiasm, there's something that every time he'd come on the set with all of these sort of stories you hear of him coming on, and you'd want to talk about something more kind of like, well, what it all means and so on, and it was just like, no, I'm just telling stories and we're having fun and this is entertainment, and there's a deeper meaning and a message and so on, which he achieved so beautifully. But the childlike nature about him, I thought, oh wow, it's good. We can all just stay big kids forever, and he's the perfect example.
And a real justice warrior, and really somebody who put it into his work, and about diversity and strength and representation. He was really about that inside the ropes and outside the ropes. So it's great to be a part of his vision in that way too.
Civil War, Rhodey and Tony are having a moment at the end, and he's like a UPS guy or a FedEx guy, and so he was outside the glass, and it was just this thing of like, it's like all of us. He's a really big deal, but he's just another schmuck who we have to get his coverage in the can too. I'm like, and roll sound. He's like, I have a delivery for Tony Stank. And they're like, great. And then it went completely downhill after that. And I was like, not only is that my memory through the glass, but also I am exactly like him. It all goes downhill after take one. You got to capture it before I tire.
Please.
You're right. Actually, take two is my strong take. But we should stop after one.
How about you, Scar?
And he guided it back to himself. Nothing's changed.
He came up to me after the first Avengers premiere, and he's like, "You got it, kid."
Oh, really?
And I was like, Stan just said I got it, man.
That is so cool.
Yeah, he's like, you got it, kid. You got it, kid.
Oh man, every time you hang out with that guy is, it's not even so much, I've had like sit downs with him, but it's more, every time I was just thinking about him actually before you sat down. He's like, wow, I miss him. He's got such a cheeky smile on his face always. He's a very, very smart guy, but he's just got a youthful spirit until his last moments, He's the fire in his heart, and he's a cowboy, and he's in his body with fortitude and strength, and he always had a smile on his face. And
He had a lightness to him that was infectious. But that's what every experience I've had with him. Always just such a wonderful, giving, thoughtful man.
And so I was really nervous about, would I please him? And I didn't meet him until the premiere of Avengers. And I kind of walked up to him sheepishly, and he saw me. He's like, "Hey!" And he's like, "You got it, kid." And I was like, "Oh, that's amazing! Thank you, Mr. Lee." But I was so nervous about, other than Downey and Kevin, like, I was so nervous that he would be happy with what I'd done.
Well, I will say I got to meet Stan Lee on Ant-Man, and one of the coolest things I take from the entire experience was when he came in to shoot a cameo for Ant-Man. I was there and I got to hang out with him a little bit, and they were filming something else, and he just stayed. When he walked on set, everyone stopped. It was like the Pope showed up, and when we were sitting there, we were talking about Ant-Man. And he was saying how excited he was that they were making Ant-Man into a film, because for the first time you're really going to be able to capture the scale, and it was impossible to do with comic books because of panels. So I always think about that and just treasure that experience, that exchange.
I just had one experience, but I'm so grateful to have had that one. It's one of the many things that I think about this entrance into this Marvel universe, that I had the opportunity to have that cameo time with him.
I also had a similar moment to Mark when I saw him. I think it was after the Iron Man 2 premiere, and I didn't know how the audience or anybody would react to this beloved character in my interpretation of her, and especially because I wasn't originally cast, and so I also had like a lot of feelings about that. But yeah, I had a lot of feelings about it, and I saw him also in the theater, and he was very excited, and I, of course, was like, I had a big sigh of relief after that. Just he was so happy with that, that he got to see that character on screen, and it was pretty cool.